Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Babbling Pastor podcast with your host. Oh man, I couldn't think of a boxer name for you. I was trying to think of. My brain doesn't work. My brain doesn't work when I have to do something like super fast. To tell you a quick story, you a quick story that has nothing to do with this podcast. What we're talking about. Me and my daughter have similar brains as far as how we think and process things. So I teach her math through my wife. My wife explains it to me. I explain it to her. It's a weird system, but it works. So we were doing flashcards. And I'm horrible at math. And most of the time I just grunt. Cause I'm like my brain, I can't process that fast. And so I try to win. Like I'm trying to be fast. But instead of numbers, it's just grunts. It's horrible. But we had a good time making fun of dad being dumb whenever we do it. But I just can't
whenever your young daughter is doing math flashcards and that's going on, and you get maybe embarrassed or something like that, just say, baby, this is why you don't do drugs.
What do you mean, Dad?
Daddy smoked a lot of weed.
That is not true. Just so everyone knows. That is not an accurate statement. I'm dumb by genetics alone.
Yes. No, Michael, to clear that up, Michael Moore has never smoked weed.
Yes.
I was joking.
I did try what was it one time that my brother-in-law's girlfriend brought over Smirnoff one time. Now I was of drinking age, so just chill it out. And that was pretty good, but that's all I've ever had. So what? The Smirnoff or because I got told that was a girly drink and that wasn't really that doesn't count. But
well, yeah, I'm with you. I've never drank.
We'll have a testimony episode one day.
Yeah, we should do that because that's also not true. Anyway, eschatology.
Holy cow. You got a lot of free there on the front end. So,
yeah.
Wrapping up eschatology. Welcome to the real point. You just could skip past that whole first 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
Of all of that. This is what happens, Rob, when you don't plan out episodes. You're just like,
yes.
Boom. There we go.
We really should just script these.
Yeah. Probably be better. Be safe. Because some of the people that know me that watch this are like, hold on, what? I just got what happened? Exactly.
Right.
So, eschatology, wrapping it up. So before we started airing, and I don't want to put anything out of the bag here, but Rob called everyone that wasn't a pros mill a what was it, heretic?
Man,
I'm joking.
We're destroying one another now. We're ripping one another to shreds. Michael is now a marijuana addict, and neither of us, thankfully, have ever drank. And apparently, I think everyone is a hair. This is the last episode of the Babbling Pastors podcast, everyone. Because I'm going to get fired and Michael's going to lose his actually your audience might grow if those lies come out.
Hey, there on a daily basis. I legitimately think about just pushing delete on the whole thing. So
okay.
Who knows, by the time this airs, Jesus has either come back or I've pushed delete.
So to clear all of the air,
there you go.
Michael doesn't smoke weed and hasn't.
Yes.
He barely drank once.
Barely drank. It was good though. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to drink more than Nemo. And I did not say that everyone else that doesn't agree with me is a heretic.
He did not say that.
Even though I'm just kidding. No. I'm totally joking. Off the rails. We're not even on the train, let alone the rails.
No.
Okay.
But hey, guys, this is how much fun we do have when we're not talking about something serious.
Yeah. Usually it's just not recorded.
That's true. Now here it is. You got a glimpse in.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So eschatology. One of the important things I think we all need to realize, here's the funny haha thing to me, is that one, we obviously need to know at least a little bit about what we believe about eschatology because of how much it does affect how we live out this Christian life. But we also need to be careful not to become obsessed with it, because if we do, then it becomes entirely the opposite problem.
Yes. Yeah, I think, and that's one of the big takeaways from the whole thing. I don't feel the need, unless you want to, and I'm cool with it, but I don't think that we need to explain much about any of the views on this episode. If that's your thing, then just go back and listen to the other ones. But big takeaways, I think you nailed that one. That this is something that is serious, right? You can't take any piece of theology and say, that one is not that big of a deal. All of them are. Every area is a big deal. And at the same time, there are only a few of those things that are so core, so orthodox, that if you veer from that, you can't say you're a Christian, right? Those are few, right? Those are like Trinity and by faith alone, and like those are the major things that man, I'm not sure I could call you brother or sister if this is where you stand, right? Eschatology is super important in that it is a theological thing. It's from Scripture. We have to. Why participate if you don't know the end game? You don't know where you're going, right?
Well, it's a
like
framework,
it is important. Yeah, it's absolutely important. However, it is secondary in the sense that Jeff Durbin and John MacArthur would call one another brother. Like they love one another. I heard Jeff Durbin even say he's a far better Bible teacher and theologian than me. Jeff Durbin said that. And so, but he then, in the very next sentence, he said, but we have some very energetic disagreements when it comes to eschatology. So this is not a subject to get rid of that brother-sister identity, right? It's just not.
I guess to tie this into a lot of other issues, not just to deal with eschatology, is that I think as Christians, we need to do that a little bit better. And there needs to be clear, distinctive lines, what is orthodox and what is not orthodox, right? So there are going to be people, like you said, I mean, it's careful to make those distinctions of, I'm going to call you brother because you are within these biblical lines, and then outside of that, then you're not. But understanding within those lines that it's actually incredibly healthy to have heated debates about things and still come out on the other end and say, but we're still family. And I think that's something that, unfortunately, I don't know where it came from. I'm sure you could find out the root of it at some point. But as a church, as Christians, we're really bad at that. Like, just look at denominations, right? There's times where we're like, no, I'm going to start my own thing. Well, what's the difference? It's barely anything, but I'm going over here. Like, it's one of those things where, like, even in your own family, I mean, just think about your extended family outside of just you and your wife and your kids. Like, past that, there are vehement disagreements I have with people within my immediate family, right? The extended one. But I don't disown them. I mean, we're still going to hang out. We're still going to do things together. We're still going to be family with one another, even if we do have it, because it doesn't change the core of it, of that relationship.
And even if you did disown them, does that change the DNA?
There you go. Yeah.
No. I mean, absolute truth is still absolute truth, right? Mm-hmm. Despite what everything else in the world is telling you right now. And so Scripture does absolutely speak to all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of it speaks very clearly, and these are faith-defining things. Maybe Mr. Honest Youth Pastor. Maybe at some point in the future we should do that, like Hills to Die On series. But that this is not one. I'll just say it that way. The stuff that all of these views agree on are bigger, and those things would probably be hills to die on. So pieces of eschatology would be Christ is coming back, right? There's going to be a final judgment. There's going to be an eternal state where the sheep, the ones who Christ came and died for and who he holds in his hand, are going to be eternally with him, and whatever. And then the goats, the wicked, the people who don't submit to Jesus as king, they're going to be eternally punished. Like, those eschatological things are non-negotiables, right?
So you don't hold to annihilationism then?
No, neither did Jesus. Just being real.
We can't open a whole other bag. Not now. Keep moving.
Ben Carson is an annihilationist. Anyway.
Really? Didn't know that.
Yeah, true story. But it is, I think it's important to throw that out there, because there certainly are things within eschatology that are deal breakers, right? Like Christian and not Christian.
Yeah.
But as a whole, eschatology and your millennial view, right, is not one of those things that like makes or breaks whether you're a believer or whether I can fellowship with you and call you brother or sister. Like, it's just not that. It's not that.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, I mean, talking about having those good heated debates within the family is not just to shut off whenever those do come up. That I find this a lot. Maybe it's just the internet, but whenever you bring something up, like there's not a good back and forth. It's no, you're stupid, you're wrong. Okay, you want to talk about it? No, you're just stupid and wrong. Or so you don't want to have a discussion? No, I don't want to debate people. I'm not debating you. I'm talking to you. Do you want it? No? Okay, fine, whatever. Like, we're just not good at it. We're not. I compare it to this. We're not good. So boxers spar with one another to train for the actual event, right? As Christians, we're not good at sparring with one another, so that whenever a real fight comes, we're not prepped. We don't know. So like, hard questions come, we haven't even fought with each other about it. How are we supposed to win the fight with somebody that actually has prepared for this, right?
Yeah. Because the argument that we get from a lot of unbelievers is, what just to be political for a second, if you even say something like, there are scriptures that all I would have to do is quote Marx, that scripture, end quote, and then put the reference in there, and I would be called a bigot today, right? Or a homophobe, or a whatever, a phobe, right? And that entire argumentation is the same as like the third grade, you're fat, right? And that's all it is, because we aren't educated enough, or we're so ignorant about the reality of things that we don't want to argue. We can't argue our viewpoint, and we have to be able to do that. Like, we have to. It's non-negotiable. Like, you have to. That's how are you to give a ready defense for the things that you believe when someone asks you to do so, right? As the scriptures say, right? How are you going to do that if you're not ever defending and learning and having your mind changed about things? Yeah. That happens too. You don't know everything. I know it's weird. But here in America, you actually don't know everything. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other day about that, about how really just in the last, since I've had the Honest Youth Pastor account since 2013, how a couple of my views have changed dramatically just because of really good discussion with people that knew what they were talking about and were able to have an intellectual back and forth about it, about how that's important, because that does iron sharpen iron. That does help each other grow. That does at least show us, hey, where are the holes in your viewpoint? Where are the holes in mine? That's what you were discussing with some of the other the views. So all that to say, to end this episode, or to end this series rather, eschatology is a scary topic. It can be very confusing, especially how we've dealt with it in general. But the idea is to, just from the way my brain works, don't dive into it all at once. Just taking a little bite-sized chunks. Look at this. Say, hey, what do they believe? Why do they believe it? Our attempt here was to give you a very, very, very high fly overview of these topics, but to dive in and say, okay, well, where do you think by the definitions we gave that you would fit? And then dive into that a little bit more and to see if that was probably, if you're right, or if maybe you fit somewhere else. Because you fit somewhere. That's the crazy thing. You're somewhere on that line. If you don't know where, maybe you need to just kind of look a little bit more in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the everybody is a theologian idea, and that's true. Even unbelievers, everybody's a theologian. It's just, your theology is defined by a lot of different things. And but it's the same thing when it comes to eschatology. Like you're saying, everybody has a view of some sort. Yeah, and honestly, probably most just average folks who would say that they're Christians, most of those views are probably there's no gentle way to say it, but just are ignorant because we haven't studied or looked into it a lot. At least not like our age and younger.
Yeah.
It's not something we've even really considered a ton, right? And so I think it's important in the world the world in which we live, that we are not ignorant about eschatology. One of the just as an illustration of that real quick, one of the convincing things that I came across when I was studying this stuff for myself was R.C. Sproul did a series of teaching videos. It was actually from a long time ago, in one of his Ligonier teaching deals. And it's on YouTube for free. It's a series. I think it's called The Last Days or The Last Things According to Jesus or something like that. But he outlined the post-millennial view, which is the view that he held. And I don't know if it's the view that he holds right now or not. We'll find out. But he talked about all of he talked about the arguments that people I forgot exactly where I was going with his argument, but long story short, it's important in the world that we live in. It's important that we can that we have a view, that we have the ability to defend, and like you were saying a second ago, we can lose our own views and adopt the views of someone else who's more convincing with scripture and everything else. And that's a good thing. That transformation and stuff is a good thing if we're growing in the word and in our study. And also the other thing that can happen is you can have discussions with other people using scripture, using whatever, the discussion, argument, whatever. And it can also just solidify further what you already hold to be true.
Yes.
And all of those things are good. It's good to know the scriptures better. It's good to know where you stand better. So I would encourage anybody, dive in head first and actually study this from an open-minded position. And by all means, I don't know if you can do this or not, but I'm not an expert by any means, but I kind of know some of the places to go. So if you want to throw like my email address in the description, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Cool. Not because I'm going to be able to educate you, but because I can at least maybe point you into people and material if you wish to. Yeah.
Also, if
take steps.
As Rob said at the beginning of this episode, he may be fired, so you may need his email to hire him and/or him to send you resume.
Yes. Yeah. Luckily, I think probably only like 4 people from my church pay attention to this. And most of them are elders. So I guess it's true. I could be fired. I don't know. We'll see.
Good deal. All right. So I think that was pretty much a good wrap up of your thoughts, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Well, closing the book. Guys, I can't tell you, do you know, we've been doing this for, by the time this particular episode airs, we've been doing this for 1 year and 3 months. So guys, if you've been with us for that amount of time, or even listened to one podcast, thank you so much. That it blows our minds that
Gracias.
that we were like, hey, do you want to do a podcast where we just talk about randomness? Sure. You think about it, listen, who cares? Thank you guys for listening and subscribing and commenting and stuff like that. We hope it's helpful. And we'll talk to you about who knows what next month. Maybe comments or maybe hills to die on. Those are two distinctively different topics, but we'll see what we do. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.